Year 25-26. Huh? Let's start the regular city council meeting on Monday, July 14th with our pledge of allegiance. And the students, Eva and Elena, don't know this, but we ask them to lead us in the pledge of allegiance every meeting. So let you go, you two figure out how to start us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry to put you both on the spot. That's hard. Welcome to our group. Beth, if you would please call the roll.
Sure. Dan Schlaf,
Here.
Louisa Hubbard,
I'm here.
Sanam Aldag,
Here.
Pablo Popov,
Here.
Ray Tell,
Absent with notice.
Joe Samafaro,
Here.
Mayor Sean Keo,
Here.
Elena Martinez,
Here.
Eva Petrinko,
Here.
Excellent. We have a quorum. We're down to item C on the agenda, which is approval of the meeting minutes from our June 23rd, 2025 meeting. Would someone like, Wow.
I'm sorry, I was chatting. Justin, I thought you were getting me a packet. Is there a packet?
It's pretty, it's just.
Okay, no, I know. Okay,
You have an
I just
agenda?
can't pull it up on here. Yeah, no, I have an
Alright.
agenda. I just, before we got to, I will move, we approve the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 meeting.
thank you. I'm motion by Hubbard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Farrell. Thank you, Joe. Wow, any changes to the meeting minutes that you recall?
No, unless it said I said something stupid.
Okay, Joe?
No changes, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, please call the vote to approve the meeting minutes.
Tell, oh, sorry, he's not here. Popov,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aldag,
Yes.
Schlaf,
Yes.
Samafaro,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. We have no prearranged participation this evening. So we're down to non-arranged participation. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Welcome again. Please state your name and address for the record, if you would, please, again.
My name is Susan Filipiak, and I live at 2181 North Steinbach. And I'm here speaking of good news, reading in the packet that movement is going forward with the mobility ramp for the Dexter gazebo. I just wanted to point out some things that, reading Mr. Breyer's memorandum, I'm quoting, based on city council preferences, and this organization did a fine job of focusing on what's needed and where it could go. But city council should be aware that this project was not included in fiscal year 25-26 budget. Does that mean that any actual permanent ramp will be delayed even more? And if so, then the next point in the memorandum, the temporary ramp, which would be so welcome, because every week is another week without accessibility to the gazebo. And I go there in the Friday evenings. I think most of the musicians are older than me. And to see them hauling up their heavy equipment up and down, that's an accident waiting to happen. And it's difficult. But the temporary ramp prices look reasonable, but I'm worried about once the permanent ramp is installed, the temporary ramp will no longer serve a function and the resale value is limited. So I hope that you're not thinking of if a permanent ramp is a year in the future, 2 years in the future, 3 years in the future, that a temporary ramp would not be advisable. I think it should be immediate. It could be used right from this Friday. And the resale value is limited. I'm sure that there are many people that the Dexter Lions serve that would be very favorable to receiving a temporary ramp once its use is no longer needed. They probably have people lined up waiting for accessibility ramps for their homes, for churches, for other organizations. So I would really highly suggest that you really consider a temporary ramp in the meantime. In the past week, since this became something that I've focused on, I've been going downtown and I have now assembled hundreds of names of people, and they've given me their contact information, who would be also interested in seeing a permanent and or temporary ramp placed as soon as possible. If these cost figures are not approachable at the moment, to please consider reaching out to the Dexter Lions, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis, the Dexter Community Fund, and private citizens to see if they could also add to supporting the costs. Okay? And thank you for your time. And I'll stay around. I guess it's on new business tonight. I'll stick around for you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak under non-arranged? Okay, we have one online. Ash, can you help me? Hello, Molly, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, and this actually, that's not correct. Molly's my daughter, and I apologize. This is Ellen, Ellen, Nosen Boscher, Noesen -Bosscher. And I'm a resident of Dexter at 3733 Noble Drive. And just echoing, Sue and I are both of the same mind that the ramp, we're excited that the movement has gone forward to price out ramps, and both of us, I think, are very interested in partnering or doing whatever we can do to support the funding of the ramp, or whatever's going to allow people who are disabled to get up on that gazebo and be part of events that are happening, whether it's musicians or community events, children, elderly. And I know Susan, I think, rattled off a lot of the statistics at the last meeting about, percentages of our population are Dexter residents that are, disabled and of all ages, so we just, continue to show up and positive pressure and support for the city council to move forward with next steps.
Thank you for attending tonight, Ellen.
Thank you for everything, all your work.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else, either online or in the audience, who would like to speak under non-arranged? Okay, thank you. We will move down to declaring any conflicts of interest. Does anybody have any conflict of interest to declare related to any item? Seeing none, that is excellent. Item G is approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as written.
Motion by Waff to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Pablo. Thank you both. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, please call the vote to approve the agenda. Beth.
Simifaro,
Yes.
Schlaf,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aldag,
Yes.
Popov,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries. We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll flip over to page 2 of the agenda. There's one communication in the packet, which is our upcoming meeting calendar. Anybody have any changes or things to note related to the meetings that are here? Presented here? Seeing none, I'll keep going. Item J1 is our report from our public services superintendent. Good evening, Tim. How are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
You got my 3-week report. So anybody has questions, they can take that.
Go ahead, Dan.
You had low water pressure at the rear grotto.
Yeah, so they got booster pumps as work. And it sounds like one of the booster pumps was down. And then you had to change out. There's something going on with software, so they had to basically, and plus everything else they had hooked up to too, so, but they were getting on taking care of that.
What?
On that same note, I have talked with them, with the management there multiple times and said, I know they've been having a lot of issues with this, and I said, if it's a city issue, we'd come in and look at it.
But yeah, and we did, and we checked the pressure, and we got the same amount of pressure down there as everybody else.
Right, so I just want to let you know that I'm in communication with them as a council member. And I've let them know that you and I would collaborate on coming in if there's some sort of issue that they want us to look at that,
Yeah, I mean, we have ways, like I said, we can
Yeah.
We get ways of pulling meters if we needed to, hooking up pressure gauges and stuff inside. Eric actually did it off of
Thank
a backflow device that they have on there. He was able to put a pressure gauge onto it.
Okay.
It's got a significant amount of pressure down there.
Great. I guess just in the future, I have contacts there with the management and if Eric ever needs, I'm happy to go with him to look at anything they need from here on out with that issue, because I know it's been ongoing.
Does council need to schedule a site visit?
The site visit has been done.
Dan, back to you.
Forest Street resident about failing shared sanitary leak.
So. As you guys know, I've been in a couple of communities. I've never seen shared sanitary leaks between the Dexter. This was one, and they have problems with the same one. The two houses share the same lead and they go out there. So the lady decided she didn't want anything to do because I guess her neighbor was having problems with as far as taking care of the costs. So she decided to put her own lead in, brand new lead, and basically plug the other lead in her house. So, but it's all taken care of. These guys did a really good job.
Oh. Easy,
Now she's got her own lead.
easy. Okay, good. Thank you.
Can you provide an update on the pouring of sidewalks in Westbridge?
They poured them on. Saturday or Friday last week.
Rob said it was going to be Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday. Yeah, they poured them Thursday, yes. No, they're over there. They should have been pouring the forms or pulling the forms today. And the restoration would start.
It looked like there was still some that were.
There was, they ran out. And so then the next go around, they'll finish that out.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I did the math on it too, so unless they added some more, they should have added the concrete, so.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Joe?
Just to follow up, I actually mentioned to Justin, I was talking to him. Whenever the election commission was last week, I guess, Friday. Although I'm going back into the office in my job, I was there when they came out and they took out the two flags that were in front of my house and everything. I thought they did a really good job. I mean, frankly, watching them, I thought they were very skilled in what they were doing and using the Bobcat to pull the pieces out and getting it out of there. They took out the roots the next time they were out there, had it framed. And when I talked to Justin, I frankly was surprised that we were doing all that ourselves. I think that's fantastic that you guys are doing that and providing that service for the community. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate if you pass on to the guys. The guys that I saw out there were doing a great job. I went out and said hello to them, but I just going around the neighborhood, like Sean said, it obviously, too, it's all over the neighborhood and I didn't expect it. And I'm glad that it's something we're taking care of because I know in front of my house, it was definitely a trip hazard type of a thing. So, and I'm glad you guys are going out and looking for them. And, it's not like I called up and said, hey, there's a problem. So you're obviously out there being proactive and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we give these guys, every time I give them kudos because, this is only about the second time, third time actually doing it. They're getting better and better each time. I see things because I did a lot of concrete work, but for the most part, I think, they knocked it out of the ballpark. So they're coming up short. That there's, they worked together hard. They started at 8 in the morning. I think they finally finished up around 12:30, 1 o'clock or something like that. So it was a big job. So and they're gonna keep going. They got a lot of other ones too. So
Tim, what's the status on the water main on Main Street?
they started today. That's my thing. Yeah.
Okay,
So they started today. We had some problems with them wanting to shut off more road than was desired. And then I had to change part of it. They wanted to take and put a no left turn into Jeffords. And I had said, we can't do that. Business. They had to get parking and stuff like back there, plus employees. So that started today. I'm gonna go back tomorrow, see where they stand, but we're looking at probably 2 days. Probably to get it to where they need to get it. They'll have to pressure test it, heat test it. We're thinking the whole project maybe a week. And then Edison's gonna be here on a Thursday. I think they're gonna be here before then, but they told me no later than Thursday. So it sounds like they can wrap that up, at least get one lane open, hopefully within the next week or two.
on Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Thank you for the update.
Although, on that point, Cunningham Lump did contact us and ask if we wanted to add to the project to essentially redo all of the road in all of Alpine, within, in front of 8140 on Alpine, both lanes. And I asked them to give me a price on that. Right now, they're planning to just do the area that they have impacted and torn up. I asked them to give me a price, and I'd bring it back to council to see what council thinks. The only problem with that is it would extend the Alpine closure, or, we'd get one lane open and then we'd have to close it back down for another couple weeks while they did that full replacement.
Dan?
Where would the limits be on 8140?
I mean, it'd basically be, just coming up short of the Main Street, or the crosswalk on Alpine, before you hit Main Street,
Yeah.
and then going back, essentially right before the alley that would go back behind the pub.
Thank you. So my thoughts on that, Justin, that they originally saw cut out an area that they were gonna use. And probably tried to protect the edges, which probably need to be recut. So a chunk of the area they're gonna ask us to do is they're probably gonna end up doing under their cost anyway.
Mhm.
And the cross section on Alpine looked pretty thick from what I could see. It looked in pretty good condition. I just have them clean it up and do it is my intent. I mean, I don't want to chase dollars that maybe we don't have or that should go somewhere else.
Did
That's my own thought.
they undercut it? I mean, it's probably the dirt came out from underneath the edge too, right?
So we did water, so
Yeah, that's, I mean, they're gonna have to cut back, they're gonna have to cut back a bigger
Exactly.
area. That's on them though.
Yeah.
yeah, it's same kind of push a lot of that was.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Take something. It's. Yeah, I'm glad you got a price that I think it's, you're gonna do this. I think. Alpine's gonna be here 2 years.
Mhm.
All right, so you're gonna bring that back then.
Yeah, and I'll talk to them about, what does it look like to just, I mean, cleaning it up would just fall under the contract, but yeah, I've asked them for a price to do it all, and we'll see what that is and see if it's something we're interested in.
Okay. Any other questions for Tim? Okay, we will pop down to our community development manager report. Michelle, how are you?
I filed this council this evening.
Good,
Good.
thank you.
Okay. I'm going to electronic with the staff reports, so give me 1 moment while I put that up. All right, before I jump into this, do you have any questions?
I have a question. Right over there's a whole lot cleared of trees. What's planned over there? What do you know about that lot?
They split the lot in 3.
The 3, okay,
Pieces
okay.
for 3 individual single family detached houses. And right now, we're working with them on how they're going to be able to meet the engineering standards for the sewer extension.
I'm sorry, where are we talking about?
I'm trying to remember,
Like on,
8069 Third Street.
Thank you.
So right here around the curve. Right now, it's a sanitary sewer that stops short or terminates before you get to their property line. Extending it isn't a real option because it's not going to be 5 feet. Extending beyond that makes it really difficult. So both OHM and DPW are not recommending that at all. Even if there is a lift station.
On Broad Street, there's a main on Broad Street and there's a main on the alley.
The main on the alley ends right at Third. So all it would have to do is extend it about 120 feet. And then each property would get their. I'm sorry,
the two closest projects are Beach Spot and Third, and then the one that's on the alley has the first. Happening on the alley, what's happening. Not exactly what they'd like to do, but it is pretty engineered.
And how big are each of the lots?
I'm sorry.
How big are each of the lots?
50 feet by 198 are the two closest, to the, alley. And then the one on the curve is a,
Trapezoid or something?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Wow, and then Dan?
Can you remind me what the smallest lot allowance is?
49.5 feet wide, 500 feet, so 49 square feet.
Okay, I mean, they're odd, they're just oddly shaped.
These
Yeah,
go to,
but I'm just saying, you said 49.5, it's 50 by 198. So we're like
roughly, well,
49 instead of 100, we're at 198. So it's just, it's
they're long,
it's challenging one, it's coming up against one of the, okay.
Are you gonna talk about the water?
I'm sorry,
Are you gonna talk about the water?
for them.
Yeah.
So they have credits, based on the, previous use they used to be there. They are building less units and they would be trying to do this.
Okay.
So. We would do single family homes instead of duplexes, farms, or.
Is there gonna be 3 separate water lines, or are they gonna use the one that they have?
No, they'll be three separate.
Okay, thank you.
Go.
On the planning commission discussion on this Superior Innovation Center.
Yes,
I was at the meeting, I was trying to pay attention, but so under the determinations and the waivers, waiver number 3, it says a waiver for the minimum size requirement for loading and unloading. Section 5.09 shall not be granted. What's the practical impact on the project of that denial of that waiver?
they would put that.
So I mean, they had loading section next to each entrance.
So they have a section. Next to each, but it doesn't meet the information requirements. And it hasn't been a demonstration of whether they're going to be. Obviously, smaller trucks, box trucks,
Right.
but we're being semi.
Mhm.
That hasn't been determined.
About how it would be handled.
Is there enough space? Once that's there, excuse me, when it comes to planning commission may change that because they may ask for the waiver. But as far as community goes.
There wasn't
that's
enough
the
information.
recommendation for the-
Yeah, just not enough information at that time to let you do it. Okay. And then on under the conditions, 3D says permanent structure shall not be permitted within a water main easement or placed over any water or sanitary mains or storm sewers. So those are easements that we maintain for our access.
He's proposing a water main easement on. In dead ends, and so it comes down the east side. Goes across the perpendicular and then terminates just shy of the west. It's a dead end main. That's a different topic.
Well, it does say also that it's supposed to loop.
They show a proposed easement. But for again, we cannot have permanent structures, the dumpster enclosure, counts as a permanent structure. And they just can't go over a line or anything. And the dumpster. It's full of those. So.
Would it,
He's got to figure out where he's going to post his.
Water line, yeah.
And the dumpster enclosure, so you don't have that.
Right. Do drives count as structures over the easement? driveways?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Well. So now,
Thank you. Hi, Michelle. I have a question unrelated to the packet and I don't know where to ask it, so I'm asking it now. Our fire prevention and protection code is from when I look at it at the ordinance in 2003 International Fire Code and 2006 Life Safety Code. And my understanding is that, or I've heard that the DAFD has updated theirs and have recommendations for updating the municipalities that they cover. What is the process of evaluating that from our perspective and potentially having it here?
So,
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't know which one of you I needed to.
Okay, it's one of the items on the list. So it's my understanding that there were two of the communities of the three that have adopted a fire code.
Yeah.
no, two have not.
Or two have not. So we're one of three that have. And so it's my understanding that the last time that we went through the adoption process, there were a significant number of changes that were made to the codes to make it desirable or applicable for us.
Okay.
And how our community interacts with, or how we want our community to interact with the code. And so it's a relatively long document. And while it's my understanding that a lot of what we had made changes to in the 2003 code have since been adopted as part of like the future revised code.
Okay.
It's still, it's a task to work to evaluate what changes we made back in 2003. Are those still applicable? And it's something that we have to work with and work with the chief on evaluation.
Thank you.
But I think the point that needs to be emphasized here is that, you know, we were the first of any community to have to adopt anything. We can make this as complicated as we want to in updating it, but updating it and just looking at the sections that we looked at before and maybe modified slightly is probably the way we should go. I mean, I don't think the townships have a lot more concerns about the wording in the code than we ever did, is my recollection. I don't recall too many things that we nitpicked or scrutinized at a high level. That's what I'm getting at. I know the fire chief and the fire inspector would like us to come from the whatever 2003 to whatever the more current one is, 2022 or 2024, whatever the more current code is. It's something we should do.
Thank you.
Don't make it a laborious task is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Which are you saying we should do, either doing the evaluation or passing the update?
Passing the update.
Okay.
But I mean, again, there might be sections, what I would do is start with the concerns we had in 2003, because there were some sections that we either downplayed or modified slightly based upon input from our fire department.
Well,
I mean, the easiest thing would just be to adopt the current.
well, I mean, the real question comes down to what's different between 2003 and now.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
And the fire chief has a better,
2003 is probably sufficient for 99.99%.
that's what I'm saying, the change is very minute is what is my point. So you could argue, why do it? Is that your point?
Well, I'm saying, one, why do it? And two, a lot of times there's a lot of requirements that go into updates like this that drive things like the cost of housing and building cost of building housing. And I mean, you know, it's one thing to say wire up your smoke detectors altogether. It's another thing to say put carbon monoxide detectors in every single room, as opposed to, you know, having one in the furnace room. You know, there's things that go to the nth degree, and the question is, do you want to address the 99.99% item by spreading that to everybody. And so
Well, then maybe the simple thing is to ask the fire chief to summarize the differences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that it's not his laborious task to figure it out, is what I'm trying to get.
100%.
Well, and I know that there's things like, minimum, width distance, minimum widths on roads required for fire access. That was changed and, you know, some small tweaks like that.
Well, but literally that's pertinent to us and the development of, what's the guy's name at the Dexter Forum? The other condo development that hasn't been done on Grand Street or, yeah, it's on Grand Street, Campbell.
Millennium Place.
Yeah, but, yeah,
Yeah.
Millennium.
Yeah.
Millennium.
my point, if,
Yeah.
but my point is, rather than argue 6 times over one thing like that, if you want to just keep that part of it the same, you adopt everything except that part of the update.
Right.
Yeah.
But there was a discussion on that project about the width for fire trucks. I mean, that literally stuff.
Yeah, or the height, or the height.
Or the height, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't mean to cut, you were still.
No, I just, thank you. Yes, there's I want to be clear that having this in as a 2003 and 2006 doesn't mean that they're outdated. It's, and if there are other things, and I agree with Sean, that if there are other things that we can help bring it a little bit and have some things that we can consider as part of that conversation with DAFD. I think it could be beneficial, but yes, it shouldn't be like line by line, item by item, because there is a lot of it that is still the same. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions for Michelle? Thank you. Are there any board commission reports to report as I go down through J3 or J4 before getting to J5? The city manager report? Joe?
I was just gonna mention, it's not on here, but we did have the election committee meeting last Friday, did the public accuracy testing for the August 5th ballot proposal to sell the property at Meadowview. And that went fine. It usually does. That one went exceptionally quickly because staff was very prepared, went through literally about an inch. It took us about 40 minutes. And that included a lot of discussing things. So
Great, great. Okay, Justin, I think we're down to your report. Sir.
Sure. So, you have my written report in front of you. There's quite a few things, quite a few items. So we'll start with any questions.
Wow.
I have 2 quick questions. Number 1, the first question I don't see on here. And if I missed it, let me know. The temporary art at La Fontaine.
Mhm.
Has that been put up?
So that sculptor, they disappeared. I've been trying to get a hold of that person. I've been trying to work on getting other pieces of art in, and I have been pretty unsuccessful so far. So,
Okay, and the rest of them have been,
yes, everything else is
Heard of.
good, which is why a lot of the signs haven't changed over yet. So I was hoping to get La Fontaine, but it may just become a case where we just don't have something in La Fontaine.
so none of the backups you've been able
All the
to.
backups I've tried to go to so far have been. Well, I was really holding out for that sculpture and.
Yeah, well, and I apologize, I missed ACH last week. Was there any discussion about that on that committee?
No, not really. I kind of just gave the update that I'm still trying to rally a sculpture, and I heard back from another backup today, and again, it's a situation where there's is in California. and
Okay.
Do you need it in a few months and
Okay, I mean, we don't need to belabor this point right now, but that particular spot has always been a concern for us, especially with the money being held for it. So I think it might be time to reevaluate what's going on there and see if we have any other options. Just because that's always been a tough spot to fill because of size. And I hate to see that go empty for a full year. If it does, it does, and I hear you, you're trying, and I appreciate that. So my second question, Justin, is on page 22 here about the ramp at Community Park.
Yeah,
I have not been out there to see it in person. So I'm just trying to look at this picture and discern whether or not, is it flush?
Yeah.
With, it is.
Mhm.
Okay, because from this picture, I guess maybe that's just a shadow.
it's the water.
Okay, all right. I
Um,
just wanted to make sure that was flush so that it wasn't
Mhm.
just for people walking with,
Mhm.
out mobility aids such as a wheelchair. So that's
Yeah,
wheelchair
that-
accessible.
that one was easy, because you had the sidewalk and then it dipped.
Sure, I
And then steps
just from
up.
the picture, it looks like there might have been a
Mhm.
bump up, and I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that either wasn't true or that was something we could address, and that's all I have.
Other hands? So now,
I have a couple of questions, again, not necessarily related to the packet. Or it could be under the public safety, so the fire station going up. One thing, I was having a conversation after the Dexter Forum with Chief Armstrong, and one thing he mentioned was the move into the fire station would be so close in the time potentially that we are doing construction on Main Street and closing Main Street. And some coordination might be helpful that if it's really close, so if they're moving there and like 2 weeks later, you're digging up the whole Main Street for their going in, around the construction, it might be beneficial to coordinate the timing of them moving into the fire station out of here with that project.
Mhm.
Because the roundabout itself is creating, of course, some traffic or navigation for them. But then the Main Street is also added to it, is really might make it very difficult for them. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and just for to bring that full all around. As of right now, we're looking at February of 2026 for the completion date for the project. And I'm guessing that the Main Street construction wouldn't begin for our portion until probably June.
Okay, so that makes.
The roundabout closure is likely going to happen in spring of 2026.
Yeah,
But we wouldn't be digging up Main Street at that point.
at that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. My second question is that I saw, the chamber has a website for the their summer festival.
Mhm.
And there is a link there for signing up to, walk on at the parade.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if this is something we have signed up for yet, we want to do. We have historically walked there. My son has walked in the parade every single year of his life. And I would like to make that happen.
is that the 7th or the 8th?
Probably gonna be that Saturday. Saturday the 9th.
The 9th, okay, the 9th.
Mhm.
I think we should sign up.
I can let them know that we have interest.
Thank you.
What?
I am very sorry. I will still be out of town until that evening, so I cannot be in the dump truck.
Okay. I'll take that.
Yes. Hold him to that.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, and I expect that you will have the summer festival road closure request at your next meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions for Justin ahead of whatever he wants to say? Or still yours, sir?
Yeah, just a couple of quick items. So I did include in the packet that we received our MERS DB actuarial. So they threw their annual dart at the dartboard and hit 90, which is still really, really good. We did get a notice at the end of last week that Coy Vaughn from County Parks and Rec is retiring. They held his retirement get together at the end of last week. We didn't know about it until the day before and he needed RSVP. But he's been with them for 15, 16 years, something like that. So, we've been working with him for a long time on, many sections of the border to border trail, and he's always been great to work with, and just wanted to give that shout out to him. And then we did get notice from our porta potty company that we did have another round of fireworks lit off in the porta potties at the intersection of Grand and Broad. So the firework bandit strikes again. But we've had questions about, why are we not putting the porta potties back at Community Park? And part of the reason was to let the kids, the people who are likely children who did the last round of fireworks age a little bit and maybe not have interest in hanging out at Community Park, lighting off fireworks in porta potties.
Was that 2 years ago?
That was last year, I
That
think.
was last year that happened?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Last summer.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Justin? Okay, Justin, I have one that relates to my report. I've suggested 10 o'clock as the meeting time for the Cousins family to come to the area behind the fire station.
Mhm.
I haven't been there in 10 days. Is the sign up or the monument? Is it there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the sign has been up for a month and a half,
Oh, I have not noticed it.
2 months.
Wow, okay.
Mhm.
My apologies. All right, well, then 10 o'clock, I'd like to talk to you tomorrow about, or Wednesday, about just getting an email notice out in our communication. Let's do it.
Did we want to invite the public?
Well, I want to make people aware that we're gonna do it, and those that want to
Okay.
show can show. I mean, I'm not planning on setting up a microphone or that type of thing, but I figure that I'm planning to say a few words. I was gonna ask, Kevin, if him or his family members wanted to say anything. I don't know if there's a way that we could, for that morning temporarily, drape it. Cover it to just, pull it off and share it. That kind of a thing.
Okay. Sorry, one of the, I am off this week, or I'm out of the office this week.
Yeah, no problem.
But I just have my phone. I'll be checking email. So.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for me on anything? Okay, I'll keep going. Are there council member reports under J7? Oh, wait, before I leave the report section. Justin, did you want feedback on the signage in front of the fire station? Document?
If you have feedback, I would like it. I'm not, you're not obligated to provide feedback at this point, but if you have anything, I would like to hear it.
So that was more or less provided for our information. I
Correct.
mean, I know you're trying to minimize the number of signs and you're coordinating who
Mhm.
owns the different wirings and is gonna be responsible for those maintenance, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and no offense to the traffic engineers out there, but my goal is not to have it look like a traffic engineer vomited in front of our new building.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, we have 3 items on the consent agenda.
I move we approve those 3 items. All consideration items. 1, bills and payroll in the amount of $848,151.40. 2, fiscal year 25-26 fee schedule resolution. And 3, award of 5th well electrical repairs to O'Donnell Electric for an amount not to exceed $22,500.
Thank you. Motion by Wise, is there a second?
I second.
Second by Saddam. Thank you. Beth, please call the vote to approve the consent agenda.
Popoff,
Yes.
Semi-Pharaoh,
Yes.
Aldag,
Yes.
Schlaf,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. No unfinished business on the agenda this evening. New business item M1 is consideration of direction regarding options for Monument Park gazebo mobility access. Wow, you have your hand up.
Yes, I would like to make a motion.
Okay, thank you for doing that.
For terms of discussion, because I do want to talk about the timeline and the temporary ramp. I would like to move that we approve option 1B from the Partners in Architecture report. I'm sorry, OHM report, sorry. My bad. Getting confused too many
That's okay.
times.
That's
Sorry, Marcus. The OHM report 1B. Thank you, Marcus, for putting that together. I would like to move we approve that.
I
Okay,
second.
Motion by West, second by Sinai. Okay, your motion, you want to provide a little background on why you picked it or what your thoughts are?
Yeah, a couple of things. I do like the idea of access off of Central Street for a number of reasons. One is that when we have events, a lot of times that street is closed off. So it is a safer place for everyone in general to enter the park. Also, that is where the ADA accessible parking is. It's on that side. And again, with the closing down of that street, as I'm sorry, as Susan mentioned earlier, that is good for that could be good for people loading and unloading as well. Which would not happen if it were on the other side of the park. I also, I'm one of those people that if we don't have to remove trees, why would we remove trees? So yeah, but my main concern is after listening to the resident feedback is I hadn't thought about it before, what the timeline for this will be. Is this something we can amend this year's budget for and get on right away? And if not, I do think it's an interesting idea to look at other organizations that may be able to fund a temporary ramp in the interim. Because again, as I've said before, it's something I think is past due and we should try to get on right away.
Okay. Justin.
Yeah, so I will invite Marcus to come up. And if he has any comments about why, it's my understanding that it was OHM's recommendation that we go with an option in the ones, either 1A or 1B, as opposed to 2A or 2B. But as far as the timeline goes, as soon as OHM can turn around the bid specs, I can put it out to bid for 3 to 4 weeks, make a selection and recommendation to city council shortly thereafter. But to your question about can the budget be amended to accommodate, the budget can be amended to accommodate. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have too much more, I guess, to add. I'm here for questions. Just to mention though, we felt like the two-leg option was probably a little better for, main reason is you don't have to impact as much sidewalk. And if you raise the sidewalk up, you have to worry about them that drop off, right? Either you have a lot of grading, or maybe a block wall for a foot high, or something like that, and like the railings on that. And the other reason, though, just for constructability standpoint, the two-leg option is, if you went with a wood structure, what we anticipate. Confirmation of that could essentially all be built by one contractor. If that like contractor, if you have the option, it's half sidewalk and half ramp. Two contractors. Price of both. And then the orientation that's shown there, as was mentioned, the point tree require.
Thoughts from council? Yeah,
Do we have any other ADA issues that we need to worry about once they get on the gazebo?
Well, the gazebo deck itself is flat enough. Not, being able to potentially like railing around the entire.
I'm asking.
Good question. We looked at it there,
Okay,
and I think that
okay. Thank you.
so Marcus, on the orientation coming out to Central Street. Am I understanding correctly that if you came out and then came straight perpendicular into Central, you wouldn't have enough length?
yeah, the gazebo is approximately 30 inches above grade, so that's the maximum is an inch before the grade. We don't recommend designing to that, so the calculations are on the chart, each option is 7.5% slope. Essentially what that means is you need about 30 feet running. Uh,
Okay.
So you're 10, 12 feet. I know. Take a straight shot.
So my, my thought, I want to make sure it doesn't seem too narrow. I don't know how you're gonna price this out, but I'd almost be in favor of being like 8 feet wide between railings and a bigger level landing area too. Cause I think if you're actually pushing somebody that's in a chair or wherever, you're gonna need a little bit of room to turn. And if somebody's coming down, you got a conflict point with the railings, no ability to step aside. So it might be worth looking at something slightly wider. I don't think you'd notice too much from an aesthetic perspective, but functionally it might be.
I think one thing we can do for that, so the code requirement is clear 5 foot. And so we have anticipated 36 foot, we have a little bit of extra fluff there. But once we select an orientation and good pattern, firm the run out lengths, match points and all that, we could easily make those alternates in bid with this route at pixel 5 or equal 5.
That's there's something to think about. I don't know.
Yeah, because the detail doesn't change, right?
Right,
We'll
right.
say thing will just be 2 to 3 feet wider, so I think the contract is same.
They're gonna be cutting boards anyway. Most things are 8 feet, 10, so. What?
We need to make a determination on the material, correct?
If you have an opinion on the material, I think that's one of the things that we're interested in hearing.
But yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I might have an opinion. I have some questions. I mean, obviously, there's a cost difference, correct?
So I think the biggest cost difference is going to be in the level, how decorative we want it to be. So if we're, going on the assumption that it's going to be wood decking, there's, a million different types of railings that you could install on either side. I think the two most obvious are either just standard wood railings or more decorative railings like we have along the border to border trail,
Okay, so.
where it's like wood posts,
Sure.
wood top, and then
Sure.
like a metal grate in the middle.
I guess I'd like to hear what others think about this, but I feel like the gazebo construction is pretty. I don't want to call it basic because that sounds bad, but it's, you know, it's basic in a good way, right? Like it's not decorative per se. I would also like to hear from Tim on what he thinks about maintenance of that in the winter. I mean, I know we don't have a lot of events, but if we have snow, that may be something that the DPW will need to address. And if one of the two materials would be easier, or if it's doesn't matter, you know, I'm just curious about that.
No, I mean, it's maybe just like sequence.
Yeah. Right, okay.
I think I'm in favor of wood construction.
I thought I would be the steel because I think it'll last longer, but it's not what the gazebo is made of.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Just to match is what I was thinking.
right, exactly. And I don't think the maintenance is gonna be any more than what it is on the gazebo. Right?
Right.
Right.
The only concern I have, would be when it gets that coat, like on the border trails and gets slippery, we're gonna have to be up there with power washers, knocking that mildew or whatever's off of that wood. That'd be the only thing. I don't know if anybody's been on the border trails, but, they get slippery when they get a little wet, just a little wet. But we'll have to take care of the maintenance on that to keep that up for everybody. I think I like wood.
Yeah. All right, so while you were starting to head towards, I think, the question of timing, when do we think, right? Were you gonna ask a question about timing? Or did I?
Yeah, I mean, Justin at least address the fact that we can amend this fiscal year's budget to do it. I mean, I know that ideally we would get it done as soon as possible. I mean, I know, you know, we still have to take the steps we have to take, according to transparency and the law and whatnot. I'm just trying to figure out if it even makes sense to explore a temporary option, or if that would take, you know, by the time we figure that out, would we be at the point where we're installing the permanent one anyway?
Yeah, but Marcus, how long do you think or how long do you think it would take to get me the bid specs?
I think we can get a package together. But we talked about it, process. Discussions. This is a small project, I think probably we could. Enough, then 6 weeks, do that. Show that price.
Who built the gazebo?
The Lions,
The last time, who renovated the steps?
the DPW. Or no, Van
Kurt
Adder.
Van Adder.
Yeah.
Why don't we ask for a local person's bid?
We would.
Why
Yeah, I
not?
mean, I can give it to him or the fence while we're
I
having a
was sort of
beer.
asking a leading question, Dan.
Yeah, no, we would, we would obviously reach out to local folks, and offer them the bid package in addition to posting it publicly. But
So I guess, sorry,
Yep, no, go ahead.
I guess the question is, you know, it's gonna take the time it's gonna take, right?
Mhm.
To get this all put together. Would it be worth reaching out to the Lions to see if they wanted to do anything temporary, if they could turn that around quickly? Like, Justin, could you reach out to them and ask them that and see if it makes sense with the timing? I mean, who knows what they may have? I mean, obviously, we don't want them constructing anything, but if there's anything they could put up that can be put up and taken down as the events go up and down, or if they have ideas on that, maybe, who knows? It's worth the ask, right?
yeah, so I mean, if we if the expectation was that we're purchasing something that would be taken down and put back up and taken down and put back.
No, not that
It
we're
would-
purchasing it, that it's something they could Band-Aid while we're working through this process.
Whoever purchases it,
Okay,
if the expectation is that, you know, the city is taking it down and putting it up for each event, then it would be the DPW that's managing that process.
okay.
You know, I don't know that Tim has had time to process that thought, but
Yeah, I'm just trying, you know, I mean, if we can't, we can't. I mean, as I've said, you know, we're trying to moving on this as fast as we can. And as long as we're exploring the options, I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
Does anybody know the availability of either one of these temporary ones that you've got here? I see everything, but
they were listed on the websites that we sourced them from. Whether or not they're available at, you know, at the, you
I
know,
just didn't know if it said like
Lowe's.
delivery within 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Or did that, the other thing I noticed is it says 4 foot wide,
Mhm.
which is not the same as what we're specking out.
Yeah.
So I mean, that doesn't meet, that doesn't meet what we would want to do anyway.
Not even close.
You know, without checking into that, I just. Think even if we went back on the serious temporary thing, I think it's gonna probably take up to. These guys are talking 6 weeks. I know it's. Now.
Well, you know, we sole source different things that we know get done well. No pun intended well. But all the well stuff goes to a certain person for a reason, right? Right. I mean, if we're happy with the gazebo construction the way it was recently done.
Yeah.
I would suggest we go right to the person that did the gazebo and get a price and advance this as fast as we can instead of trying to.
The challenge with that is that contractor's timing and availability.
Well, you gotta start by talking to somebody. All I'm getting at. I don't have any problem with the public process, you know that. I'm just saying, there's communication that could be had tomorrow if we had wanted to do it. I mean, the contractor who's actually building it might have some ideas that might help what they're specking out.
Yeah, yeah.
So. It's just a thought. Joe?
Go ahead. I'm a little concerned about how we're reprioritizing everything to say this is something that's this urgent. Is this something that we've included on the CIP?
No,
I mean,
Mm-mm.
so
it's not in the CIP.
what about the ramp that's at Community Park? Is that on the CIP?
That was not in the CIP, but that was in the ADA report from OHM.
Got it. So there was not an
And-
ADA ramp for the gazebo in the report?
There was.
There was, but we've been budgeting $10,000 a year to start tackling some of the items that are in the OHM report.
Right.
And that was one that we could knock out for under 5,000. That was,
And get it done.
that was, you know, relatively quick and easy.
I mean, I understand that it's important. I'm in favor of doing the ramp. I think we should have the ramp there. I think it's important. I don't know if you say, I mean, I've only lived here 24 years and the gazebo's been there the entire time. And there's never been a ramp there. Now, that's not to say I don't think we should have one. I do think we should have one. I don't know that it means that we have to have one tomorrow. And I mean, even if it was gonna take until the end of the year, you know, the end of the season, it wasn't gonna happen this summer. I don't think that's the end of the world to not have ramp for the next 3 months and it'll be in for the 2026 season. So I'm not trying to disparage somebody who says they want to have it now, and it's important to them. And it's important to the people that need it. I get that 100%, but we as a community, we haven't gotten feedback from the Parks Commission. We haven't gotten feedback from community members until just the last few months. That this is something that we need to get done right away. It concerns me when somebody stands up and says, you gotta have this right now, you gotta have it right away. When literally some of those people have been sitting on the Parks Commission for a decade and this has never been a priority. And I don't understand. It doesn't click and make sense in my head. So I very much want to go forward with it. I think the discussion is great. I want to see it. And I think we should move forward as quickly as is possible and get it installed, the permanent.
Well, we've taken a big step today and I appreciate Justin, you bringing back options. Agree that, Partners Architecture did a great job.
I'm sorry. OHM, OHM, OHM.
I was trying to add a little levity. Marcus, it's
Oh.
really good. You helped us conceptualize, the where and the what. Let's let them run with I think the direction we need to provide is a motion to ask the city manager to keep the process moving in light of the option that was selected. And, bring back bids as quickly as you can. Go out and get pricing. Does that make sense? Let's not try to. Let's keep it going. Who wants to make, well, we already have that motion, right? Yeah. Is there any further discussion needed on the action item? I'm pleased with how far we've come in a month. So let's make the same amount of progress next. Okay, Beth, please call the vote to approve option 1B.
Aldag,
Yes.
Popoff,
Yes.
Semi-Pharaoh,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Schlaf,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you again for that. Marcus, thanks again.
OHM, thanks again.
Susie, Ellen, thanks for keeping us on task there. We're making progress. We're getting there. We're getting there. You may.
James came with his wheelchair, plus his support dog. I think there was a point of having a wider, man who's. And, someone's lying now, my son. It just becomes, when he's having a family, and then during, I'm sorry, David here allows. I think there's been so many times when people are quiet, they have been. Not afforded as well, and I think what happens is that it's becoming to a, it's not, it's really now, but it's really. Since the national. How much longer do we wait? How much more time do we make a public place inaccessible?
Yep, no problem. We're gonna do it well and we're gonna get there. As fast as we can and as well as we can. Okay, new business item M2 is discussion of amendments to the water and sewer ordinances. Justin, I'll turn this directly over to you.
All right, so this one is another one of those heavy lifts. There was some heavy lifting that went into it in 2017 and 18. There was some stumbling with our interactions with Eagle during that time period. Tried to pick it up, other priorities came up, and so it got backburnered. But now we're trying to bring it forward and finally get it over the finish line so we can get this as an item off the to-do list. We've gone through this multiple times with the utility staff, specifically Tim and Eric. F&V has looked at it, OHM has looked at it, Scott Munzel, our city attorney, has looked at it. There's still a couple of items that need to be addressed in the final version. But I think we're 95% of the way there. And so I wanted to bring a draft to council before bring it back for recommendation for setting a public hearing. And get city council's feedback, thoughts, direction, and see if there's anything that you saw that I'm not seeing that we should consider incorporating into this set of amendments.
So overall, I think I saw you have us setting a public hearing for sometime in September. Do I remember that right from your report?
Yep, so the plan is, or my thought was to set a public hearing, or to vote to set a public hearing at the next meeting for a meeting in September. And then in that period, we send the drafts off to Eagle, to the appropriate Eagle representatives and say, hey, we're considering this on September 15th or
whatever it
yeah,
is.
yep. Give us your feedback by that point. We're moving forward with adoption. Eagle, we're putting you on a timeline this time.
Oh,
What if Eagle? Where's the requirement that Eagle signs off on?
I'd have to. There is a requirement, particularly for the sewer ordinance, I believe, that like it has to be in compliance with our mall and Tyndall.
All right, I know they have to approve our specifications for construction.
Mhm.
All right. When you're bored, see if you can find where that is.
I thought F and B.
Where it is required that Eagle review our water and sewer ordinances before adoption.
Or review and approve, maybe where does it say that they have to approve it?
Well, we said quite a long time, so.
That's my
Wow.
point.
In fact, someone retired.
That's my point.
Well, retired, came back, retired again.
Well, so hold on. So let me give you a different take on it. I can't remember exactly, but the example, but if we were going after funding somehow, whether it was DWSRF or on the sewer side, Clean Water SRF, and we were doing something and it was not in our ordinance or doing something and Eagle flagged it during their review of the project and they said, oh, you can't do that. We'd have to modify our ordinance. They would look at our ordinance. I think that actually happened to us back on either the EQ basin or no. Oh, at one time we were charging residents outside the community a different amount for water.
Mhm.
And we went for funding for DWSRF on something, and they basically said, you can't do that. You have to charge everybody the same rate for water.
Mhm.
At that time, they reviewed the ordinance, we made the change.
Mhm.
My point is, if we have something and there's something wrong, when it comes time to where they.
Or they would
they're
flag
gonna,
it.
they're gonna check it, they're gonna catch it, is what I'm getting at. So I wouldn't hold up our world
Mhm.
unless you can tell me where it
Mhm.
says they have to check it off.
Yeah.
I think we just keep going, but I'd be interested to know where it says that if you can find it.
Well, and that's part of my angle at, hey, let's go ahead and set the public hearing and adopt it and
Yeah, okay.
put them on a timeline.
Okay, are there specific things in here? You've given a summary on pages 95 and 96, I think, if I'm on the right pages, of what's covered in the revisions. Are there things you want to draw specific attention to that you think are choice versus proper policy?
So some of the new things that I think are choice, are particularly the sections that deal with connection and disconnection. So we've added in an area that says connection is required. Disconnection is only permissible under certain circumstances.
Yep.
And the goal with that is to prevent situations where we have someone who has connected and they want to disconnect for the sake of, I don't want to pay tap fees anymore and I'm letting the house sit vacant. So I just want to disconnect from the main and, you know, you're not going to charge me tap fees and, I'm going to be done.
Tap fees, or do you mean ready?
Or sorry, ready to serve fees.
Okay.
That has happened in the past and the goal is to prevent that from happening in the future.
Do other communities have that similar language?
They do try and address it in different ways. I think that this is a good way of coming at that same situation.
Okay. What are the other ways?
I'd have to.
All right, sorry, too many questions.
No,
I'll
no,
go
no,
back.
no, that's totally valid. But what's really interesting is we spent a lot of time with this, and there's a lot of red lines and a lot of new sections and inserts. And when it
There's a
came
lot
down,
of blue.
there's a lot of blue and a lot of red, and when it came time to actually write the summary, it was like there weren't as many substantive changes as it felt that there was going to be.
That was my takeaway for the part that I read so far.
Mhm. No, and that's fair. There's, additional expectations in how water meters are installed. Making sure that our staff, has access to it in a convenient and accessible location. Clarifying and making sure that the meters that we are responsible for providing and the meters that we are responsible for maintaining at our cost align. It used to be that we would service and maintain per the ordinance up to 1.5 inches, which I don't know if that was actually happening. But we would provide up to, I think it was 1 inch or 3.75. But then we weren't, what it said that we were supposed to maintain and what we were going to provide at our cost and replace didn't match. And so making sure that those match going forward.
So are we treating anyone unfairly if we're not maintaining the size of a meter, specific size of a meter?
So really it's the commercial meters that are very expensive that they will purchase separately from what we are providing, and then they're also responsible for maintaining.
Okay.
But pretty much all of the residential meters are going to be 1 inch or less.
So, and all of these clauses are retroactive? As opposed to nobody's grandfathered in, like they bought their 2-inch meter 10 years ago and because we changed ordinance today, that would still apply, right?
So it would be going forward. So anytime anything over 1 inch would come up for replacement, it's on them. But it's not retroactive in that, like, we're going to be issuing reimbursements or anything to people who may have purchased or maintained a meter that was
I guess
that is changing.
You should have 2-inch meters. The ones that get problems with them. The problem we're finding right now, the biggest problem is register. With the batteries. So, having like we're switching to the new electric farms, which everyone that we switched so far with the commercial. Because they can see it, it's a real time thing. Every single day they go on a website, they can see if it's leaks, they can get protections. Every single day I get an email from ours telling us water usage.
Yeah. Is there anything in there to help us with getting the bigger meters replaced as they should be or maintained?
As far as
Forcing,
Helping them make the right decision on, because these them bigger meters are not cheap. I mean, they're thousands of dollars.
just did theirs last year, it's $5,000.
That's what I mean. And I don't know how many more we got out there that we know need to be replaced, that are not radio read.
Well, Thompson Children's State is not.
Mhm.
So those are two of the biggest ones. Just switch, it switched 2 out of the 3 meters, 2 or 3 meters.
I guess my question is, do you need help? Do we need something in there that's gonna help you guys when it comes that time with them bigger meters that are really expensive, but they're not working.
So what I'm trying to figure out, Dan, so if, let's take Dapco for a second. Your example, there's a 6-inch meter. Okay, what's the cost of a 6-inch meter?
$5,000.
All right, 5,000. So when, if that was a new business and they paid their tap fee, they're probably gonna pay on the water side, 3,000 times however many RUs that business is. Well, but it's more than one RU for for like, in all likelihood, it's more than one. Okay, so if we, let's just say it's 4 RUs. So 4 times 3, they'd pay $12,000 to the water fund. Plus the 5 in this scenario for the meter?
That's in the engineer, yeah, as far as construction wise.
Well, on a resident, on a residential,
Residential, we provide up to 1 inch. As far as new construction,
for free,
we have up to one inch.
for free,
Yes.
but in return, but you still pay the tap fee.
But you're thinking that for, even for commercial, but anything larger than 1 inch, the cost of the meter should be included in the tap fee.
Yeah, I do, the first meter. If you wanna say the replacement meters need to be paid for,
But you get
I don't-
$8,000 tap, 3,000 goes to water, and it's a $5,000 meter.
Well, first of all, DAPCO has more than one meter, or
but the residential meter isn't 5,000, right?
No, residential, or right now, up to 1 inch, 600.
Yeah, so much less than the $3,000 we're collecting.
But well, like
Understand how fair,
Yeah.
how we're treating people, what we're actually charging to do it.
Well, Devco has way more than 1 R.
yeah,
Well, right.
I understand what you're talking about, but I also understand if you wanna treat people fair. You need to look at the amount of water that goes through a damn 6-inch meter compared to a 3/4 inch or 1 inch. I mean, that's one thing you gotta put into comparison. Now, what Sean's saying, if we're gonna give give them a 1-inch meter, maybe that should contribute towards the 6-inch meter they have. Okay, I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but at the same time, to make things fair, we need to be accountable on how much water these people are using, because they're not using residential amount of water for the same price.
Well, Dan, when I read the second bullet on page 96.
Okay.
That says, clarified that the city will supply, maintain, and replace meters up to and including 1 inch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I don't go any further in that bullet than that. That sentence to me says that whenever the city wants to replace my water meter at 8222 Webster Drive,
Mm-hmm.
you guys come knock on the door and come do it. You could do it every week if you thought it was reading low.
There's a big difference between going into a manufacturing facility and replacing a 6-inch meter than coming to your house and shutting 2 valves off. I mean, you gotta have a plumber, you gotta schedule it, you gotta do a bunch.
I know, but my point, Dan, is that what's the reason for replacing the meter? Most likely,
It went bad.
it went bad,
That went bad, or something's not working, it's not reading it, right?
right? Or you suspect it's not reading right? So I guess, does this give us the same flexibility?
I don't know if that was.
Does this take away anything larger than 1 inch? If we're not supplying, maintaining, and choosing to replace, are we giving up the right to replace the larger meter that may have gone bad? I don't want to do that.
No, I agree.
That's
Good-
not, that's
good
the point,
point.
that's the point
Good point.
I don't, that language to me. I'm not sure if that. Cause it says. It looks like it's putting it all in the responsibility of the customer. I think we want the right. To be able to make the determination that it's reading low, or however we make that determination,
Or it's reading hot.
or high if they think it is, yeah.
But the easy part with the residential ones, we take it down to the wastewater plant. We stick it on and we can test it. We can figure out whether it's running fast or slow. You know what I mean? 6-inch meter is a whole different, 4-inch meter is a whole different. You gotta send it off to a company. Correct?
Well, some of the newer stuffs, I've never done it, but they've been told that they can now.
With the newer meters, not the older.
like I said, I just think, I think we want to maintain the right to say, we think it should be replaced for whatever the reason is that it's damaged or broken or high or low fare, whichever way. Most readers don't read high.
We're pretty lucky with the new technology that they have with these bigger industries we have in town. They wanna know every day what's going on. They wanna know when they have a problem. It's a little easier to sell, but at the same time, if stuff isn't, if the economy's not going right, that's a lot of money for them. Besides hiring a plumber to come in and pull that out, shut everything down and do all that. It's not that easy of a sell, cause I tried. many
So-
years.
So you get by 2 coats.
Yeah, so and to your first point, would it be fair to see something that like the city will absorb, fancy your language, but essentially the city will absorb the cost or cost equivalent of a 1-inch meter per RU per tap
Yeah, or
during the TAPI process?
Something like that for the first, yeah, I think. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Um. Any other, does anybody have any other topics to talk about on the water side?
So given the comments you received today.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, you wanna go sewer? next?
No, well, I mean, well, so I wanted to finish off with water first
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
sure.
move on to sewer.
Okay.
And so, sewer, similar items related, that we saw on water with, connection, disconnection. Working with Scott to add in a reference to the water side with how we, measure, sewer usage. We might measure sewer usage based on water usage. And I want to reference the sewer, I want to reference the water ordinance in the sewer ordinance. Similar language with disconnections. We updated all of the required limits for surcharge. The one big one that I wanted to point out was the section on fats, oils, and grease. And the new ordinance is much more strict on the required use and installation of grease interceptor for those businesses that that do produce or do discharge grease and those types of materials into the sewer. It sets requirements and gives a time frame for complying and gives the utilities department the authority to enforce.
Sounds good to me. Everybody?
Is part of the enforcement, making them clean or pay for the cleaning of the mains if we know that, they're the only ones that are on it without, correct grease intercept?
If we're able to prove it. I think the challenging part of that is proving it to a point that it would hold up in court.
Well, they've gotta prove not.
Well, but what it does is that, yeah, it's up to us as the enforcing entity to, yeah, it's our burden of proof. But what we are able to do is go in and take samples at the main where the lead enters. And there are discharge limits that are set that over, I think it's a year period with 4 samples. You combine the samples and I think Tim is much more up to speed on that process than I am, and how the combined sample is created. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. You guys have came a long way.
Justin, what is restricted zone? Is that our wellhead protection area?
That's our wellhead protection area.
Yeah,
Oh. Yeah, that's. Sorry, it's not the wellhead protection zone.
Not,
It,
okay.
it is the section that is, downtown that had that was potentially impacted by the dry cleaner. That
Okay.
was downtown. Essentially saying no private wells because the groundwater there is potentially
Yeah,
impacted.
yeah, okay, okay. Thank you. So you'll go take the comments back and get a revised draft? That'll be in the packet next when we set the public hearing?
That's the plan.
Okay, so we'll have another shot to look at it or finish reading if you haven't read everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work on that.
Thank you.
Okay, to move on to M3. Okay, M3 is discussion of amendments to the purchasing ordinance and policy. Starting on page 195 of the packet.
So this is another ordinance amendment, but with a caveat of associated policy amendment. City council had discussed amending the purchasing limits assigned to the city manager. And working with Josh, we went out and took a look at some of the limits that other communities had. But then we went back and took a look at the ordinance in whole to see if there was anything else that needed to be addressed. I mean, if we're gonna change it, we may as well do it once, take a more comprehensive look at it, do it once, rather than, seeing something else that needed to be changed down the line. And so we're throwing out a number of 15,000 as a starting point. That's a number that seemed reasonable. If city council has another number or other thoughts on that, this is what you're comfortable with allowing administration to move forward with. And I want to make sure that you're comfortable.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing this. It was something that I asked a couple of times, and to me, there were a couple aspects of this increase. Really thinking of what is the amount, and I'm glad that you went in and looked at the whole ordinance and at every level. Because first of all, to me, 5,000 of what we had there for 15, 20 years is something that is a low number from 15 years ago to now. And cost of things have changed. There are some things that we have budgeted for. There are some things that are easier to say, okay, this is something you should just go ahead and do. There is that portion of that decision-making and moving the work along. And then there is the portion of the time and effort that is put into having those sort of decisions come into a consent agenda. Yes, it might take us the time that we just read the consent agenda and vote on it, but there is a lot of time in preparing the documents to go in there. So to me, it's always like, what is our total cost of ownership of something, right? I'm glad to see that that you took a look at and put this at front of us. My question to you is a little bit is the 15,000 and what if there were any criteria, examples, or things that brought you to this amount? And with that is also like, how many things do you see in a terms that you say, this is an amount that I'm comfortable with and things like that?
Yeah, so most of the things that fall over $5,000, that would be in the $5,000 to $15,000 range, are things that tend to be on the DPW water and sewer side, more than anything. And generally, those are items where the DPW or utilities has gone out and gotten multiple quotes already. But still, we need to go through the formal process of having city council bless. The, I'd have to go back and look for examples. But there have been things that over the last 2-3 years where staff has gone, do we really need to get council approval for that? It's like, yes, yep, that's what that does fall within the range. So I can't recall immediately offhand what they are, but the things that fall over $15,000 are going to be more capital and significant DPW utilities, water, sewer projects.
And personally, I'm comfortable with the 15,000. I trust that, you know, if it's even less than that and there are questions that you would say, well, let's just put it at front of council and never hesitate to do that. Because one of the things I always say that we are here not only just to make policy, but also to support the work of the staff. And if we can help with that, and if there are times that we can help with brainstorming on anything, please feel free to bring. Did you by any chance see examples of the amount in other communities or any comparisons?
Yeah, we did, we put together a table on page 213. Not all communities had their purchasing limits, you know, readily available, but we did a little bit of reaching out, a little bit of searching through communications with other communities and what they had readily available online to come up with this list.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed the table. That's all thanks.
Yeah.
I would think the fifth well repair would fall under this, okay? And we are not,
Yes.
at 15,000, that's not gonna be enough money, and we gotta do this.
Mhm.
This has happened before at the wastewater treatment plant. The same situation, except it was 20 feet
Mhm.
and it was an emergency situation. We have backup generators, but we don't plan on running backup generators for 2 weeks to come back to council. We've also had lift stations that went down that we've had to do emergency things on that's cost more than 10 or 15,000. I think that 25,000 would be more appropriate. One of the things that our staff, Justin, and our council does is we communicate real well. There's not gonna be, and there's never been a time that anything's happened that our mayor and at least most of the council members don't know what's going on in an emergency situation. So my suggestion would be to make that more, because we were gonna do this repair at the fifth well anyway, and it's well over 15,000. And I trust everybody here. So, thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan, for bringing that up, because that was what I was looking at that. And, you know, while I'm comfortable with 15, I want to also make sure that the staff is comfortable with that number. And that crossed my mind that we have waited for that repair until it has to come to the next council meeting. And if we have things that are emergency, what does that mean? So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, and in general, if it is like an emergency, we're making the repair.
Okay.
And then we're bringing it back to council. You know, it for the fifth well repair, for example, it took a little bit of time to get the contractors out and get their recommendation. It took some time to work through figuring out what was actually wrong with it. And then getting the quotes back to you know, proceed with the repair. And I think we just got the quotes last week, I think. So, I mean, we did move this along, you know,
I know you did. So-
relatively, you know, as
So-
quick as we could.
So let me just ask a question. Is the suggestion that it be 25,000 for water and sewer related items? Or across the board? Yeah. I could,
Water,
I mean, I know you, I know.
water
I-
and sewer, definitely.
Well,
I
that
don't.
that relates directly to public health, safety, welfare.
Exactly.
I concur with that. I just asking.
I mean, I'm gonna look at him and I'm gonna look for Justin for DPW, what could happen.
Would you, do you think that would be appropriate to have it for that only, or do you, I mean, you propose 15?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's,
Would a higher limit for that significant, for that, those circumstances be more appropriate and still have the lower number for the rest of the general? That's what I'm asking.
I think so. I mean, when we do have, you know, significant dollar items, you know, that are, you know, then between the 15 and $25,000 range, those probably are going to be water sewer, Tim.
It's expensive.
You know, as far as like DPW, I mean, you know, sidewalk repairs aren't going to be 15 to 25,000 unless it's, you know, significant. I mean, maybe like a significant road sinkhole.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't necessarily need 25,000, 15,000, but I do agree with that. I think water and sewer, I do think that needs to be around, because it just seems like no matter what you do anymore, it's $15,000-$20,000. You know, and when I say that as an emergency. We had 2 pumps go down, last year, wastewater plant, planning for one, not the other, was 26,000.
So could you write generally 15 and 25 for water sewer related items?
Okay.
Thank you, Justin. That would be my taking everybody's information into account plus your recommendation.
But I mean, you know, for the 15,000, I mean, you know, I mean, our goal is to be transparent and, you know, when we are making these big purchases, making sure that council is aware of them.
Okay, other thoughts on this item? No, you're good. I noticed just one of the, we still have the provision to use local in here, right? I think I saw that. That preference can be given to a local business, because I mean, it says lowest responsible bidder, but there's a clarification somewhere, right, about
Mhm.
that?
Yep, so we did expand that into both the ordinance and the policy that gave a little bit more clarification on what is considered local. And gave them a preference.
Where did you redefine that? I saw on page.
So page 206 of 284. City wants to choose the lowest responsible bidder, which may not necessarily be the lowest bid. For this reason, local vendors may, at the discretion of the purchasing agent, be allowed a 5% price advantage for bids and purchases.
Okay, all right, yep. Okay, and then I saw you deleted the sanctions, gifts, sanctions, whatever.
Because all of that,
Gratuities, sanctions,
yeah, all of that is covered in the ethics ordinance.
that's what I thought you. You're still allowed to go out to lunch with the vendor?
I strongly recommend to staff that if you go out to lunch with a vendor, that you yourself pay for it.
All right, so when will we see this again?
I believe this is planned to come back at the next meeting for setting a public hearing.
Okay, everybody good with that? Okay, new business item M4, discussion of the draft lease agreement with Dexter Area Fire Department. Page 215.
All right, so continuing our set of discussion items. I've been working with Scott Munzel to draft a draft lease agreement with Dexter Area Fire Department for 8140. We didn't want to get into a situation where, you know, we're near the end of the project and the AFD is getting ready to move in and we're, you know, scrambling to create a draft lease agreement with them. The template that we used was based on the Dexter Township lease agreement that Dexter Township has with the AFD for their building out on North Territorial. You can see there's quite a few, you know, blues and reds again. But some of it is pulled from the lease agreement that we ended up developing with the AFD for getting them into this building here. A lot of it is recommendations from the city attorney. The big items, I think, in this one that I wanted city council feedback on. Page 218, rent. And the big question is the amount that Dexter Township and Webster Township are charging DAFD in rent is unlikely to be sufficient even for them to replace the systems in their buildings. That the buildings that they have specifically created for the purpose of a fire department inhabiting their building. So, you know, if this were, you know, any other building that, or if this were a city building that we're leasing out to, you know, likely anybody else, we would probably be charging enough to try and truly maintain that building and set aside money to replace the systems that, you know, support that building. So the question is, how do we, or how do you as a council see this lease agreement and the amount that we would expect from DAFD to pay? Are we expecting to be able to recoup our full costs to provide them a bill?
What do you think that amount is, Justin?
So
How do you determine what that full cost is? You said that.
I mean, I would have to run some calculations, but I mean, if we have, let's say, 5 furnaces and AC units. So for this building, we have, I think, 7 furnaces and 7 AC units. Let's say we have 4 or 5, and those need to be replaced on probably a 15 to 20 year cycle. Each furnace is probably 5,000. Each AC unit is probably another 5,000, give or take. Throw on top of that any other systems that we'd have to maintain, the water lines, sewer lines, any fixtures that we would be responsible for maintaining, the building facade, windows, all of that. Doors, you know, you'd have to come up with a number that is sufficient to plan for the long-term maintenance of those items. And at 8140, very clearly we were not doing that. You know, at $5,000 a year in rent, plus the cost of insurance, plus the cost of utilities, that's all that we were charging DAFD for occupying that building.
So are you planning on one more question?
No, but yeah.
Are you planning on setting up a special account that the rent will go into?
We could.
This is what-
Yeah. No,
I follow through your thought process.
I hadn't considered that, but I think that would be entirely plausible, or it's not something that we certainly could do. You know, the other question is what is DAFD going to accept or agree to? And that I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Wow.
Thanks. So I'm looking at the numbers for Dexter and Webster. Township. So these are the numbers from when they built their new stations, correct?
Mhm.
Was there a jump when they built their new station? Because in my mind, as a landlord, which I am, in a, a residential property, if my property all of a sudden goes from one square footage to a larger square footage or valued at one price to a larger price, the rent goes up. So I'd be curious to know if that went up between the old buildings and well, they didn't have any, did they?
They did not.
What they paid into, I guess, and tried to, figure out what that looks like, just as like a point of reference, right? Because I guess I just can't see a world where we don't charge more rent to maintain the building like we're talking about,
Well,
based on the building that's gonna be sitting there, not the building that was sitting there before. So we've got to sort of figure out.
well, I think the alternative is that it is essentially a nominal amount in recognition that all three communities are funding them anyway. So essentially, we're charging rent to an entity that then bills us back for that rent.
Okay, I guess I do agree with the idea that like it needs to be at some level where it's not just breaking even. It's like, yeah, if something happens, we can't get into the situation. We can't invest all this community, like all of this taxpayer money into a new building and turn around and not take care of it the way that we didn't take care of the last one. Am I,
But I mean, on the cover sheet that Justin prepared, he's got square footages for each of the facilities.
Mhm.
Okay, 10,150 and the rent at Dexter Township, that's annual, 12,000 or 1,200?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, so what you're saying is that that order of magnitude of money isn't close. I mean, what do you think it should be that if it was done the way your head is wrapped around the situation with
Mhm.
however many heating units and however many cooling units and however many fixtures and whatever else applies to this regular maintenance fund,
Mhm.
what does that come down to annually? When you look at that over a 15-year cycle, if that's the replacement cost or whatever is it?
Yeah, I mean,
is it 4 times that number? Is it twice that number?
yeah, I mean, in terms of order of magnitude, probably 10 to 15,000.
You think it's 10 to 15,000 a year?
If we're setting aside money to plan for obsolescence and replacements, including facade, roof,
Okay.
windows.
Then I think if we're gonna put a number down, we ought to have some calculation that got us there. If we're gonna make the argument that way. That's where I'm going. Outside of-
Sean, and I think that's all I was getting at,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I don't know how, I don't wanna just put a.
Mhm.
If you're gonna try and make the argument that we're 20% bigger than Dexter Township, so we should be at 1,500, I don't know that it's worth the discussion.
Mhm.
Let's do it. I don't know which hand, Joe, I think, and then Pablo, then Sanam. Joe?
What was the square footage for 8140?
The old one?
Yeah.
Like 5,000 or 7,900 or something?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 7,900 in total, of which they were occupying 40%.
Right, so the fire station, you're saying is like 3,000 square feet.
Mhm.
The new one's gonna be 12,900.
Mhm.
The old lease was 5,000,
Mhm.
then the new one should be 20,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's the exact, I would go on, if that's the way the math works. That works out, I would go right off the old lease, say the old one was this big, the new one's this big. The old one didn't have all the things that we needed, the new one does. You guys, when you built your buildings, did put in all the things we needed? We did, because this was supposed to be the main station. The old station was $5,700 for 3,000 square feet. This one's 12,000, so it's $3,000, whatever. it is. It's apples to apples then.
We got 3 times as much stuff. As long as we have a derivation to describe our logic.
And the reason I wanted to bring this as a discussion is to make sure that, to determine whether or not council was comfortable with heading in that direction generally.
I don't know, I don't understand the logic yet. Pablo?
I have a question, I think for Orna, for you. From financial perspective, does it makes more sense for us to, it's the money that we will spend no matter what, right? It's the money that we'll spend either to maintain the building afterwards or collect the money and have it in a separate account. Is there,
We set it aside in GL budgetary standpoint to set aside money for maintenance, right? Cost of maintenance and so forth. So you wanna set enough money aside, so if there is something that goes down, you're not having to go and get it borrowed to take care of it, right? I know we're gonna be charging people for coming together communities, right, as well as, well, what the DAF you get their money from Webster and every place else, but it's also our portion going there too. We don't give them money, they're just getting it back, because we're paying into the DDA as well, but we should set aside money for maintenance.
what makes us more money? Keeping it an account like that, just waiting for maintenance to happen, or
Well,
put the
it
money
has to be
through
pulled
the
in
lease?
assigned to a GL.
So it doesn't.
If it has a separate GL, it doesn't necessarily have to have a separate.
But financially, it doesn't make a
It's not
difference
gonna-
one way or the other.
Right, it's gonna be set aside in a GL account. It doesn't have to be set aside in bank, so it can be in.
We can assign the funds without separating out the financial account, the actual bank account run. It's kind of like we do with
DDA.
I was thinking more like the emergency sewer maintenance dollars.
Okay.
We have it restricted for a very specific purpose.
Okay.
But it isn't necessarily separate in a separate bank account.
Yeah, wait, so now I'm next.
Then
Dan can go, all right. Yeah.
They're gonna call us for everything that they need. We're gonna be changing light bulbs. Tim, I don't know if they accidentally run into one of those doors, who's responsible for replacing them? Big doors. Is it? We do right now. Okay, so anything that happens in there, and Joe pointed out, it's a lot bigger than the place we had before. And I'm not saying anything major, possibly an accident with a door, but there is gonna be constant maintenance that's gonna have to happen after a few years that they're in there. And the reason I brought up the DDA is I think that we need to keep track, and I don't know if we ever have, of every time somebody had to go down and replace, fixtures or light bulbs or what we did. But with the DDA stuff, I know that we have a separate fund and it is put in different places in the DPW as we go through the year on what we do for maintenance.
Yeah, we did and do have a specific GL code in 336 and in the fire department budget for building maintenance. And we do have our accounts payable system, going back, we can search by, where GL codes. But we did try and address the door situation in this version, in this draft, that if the door gets hit, then it's up to them to fix and replace.
I don't know about the whole rent deal, but I do know that the DPW and water and wastewater staff are gonna be spending time down there doing different tasks that need to be done as the building gets old. And that's a cost
Mhm.
to the city.
We, we do have insurance on the building, and per the draft lease agreement, they would pay 100% of the cost of that insurance. But then they are also required to have their own insurance.
Still have a question?
Yes, or a comment, I think that I have been looking at it from like the whole package of like, rent plus all the other things that they would pay, right? Like definitely to me, all utilities, 100% of insurance, damages, doing some of the paying for the cost of any issues or damages. And then to me, then rent becomes something that, at the end of the day, we are paying a portion of all of these things anyways, right? Because we are paying to the DAFD, and how we manage that best is, I think, should be really calculated in this as well. In terms of, yes, I do think that we should charge them some rent to then to be kept for the maintenance of what is coming. I don't know if we should do that sort of like the maximum is that more beneficial for us to gather it, but then, we are paying, would be like probably like what 1/3 of it anyways. That calculation to me is something that could also be helpful to be done. I'm generally in favor of maybe a little bit less on rent, but having them to do more of the maintenance and picking up the damages and things like that more than the full, what would we think of a maximum rent?
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Do you want them to do the maintenance or do you want us to do it?
I should clarify, thank you. I think the maintenance in terms of like, so there are a couple bullet points, like if there are issues or damages that are coming from the uses and such, they should cover that like any tenant. But I think the coming to replacement, like maintenance of roof, masonry, doors, HVAC, things like that. We should, in terms of doing it, be responsible, whether we are then charging rent to cover that, or there was an example of anytime that comes up, they're responsible for 25% of it or something like that, could also be looked at.
So Justin, your memo. You're starting from the Dexter Township lease format. But you're merging in the fact, or you're sort of asking us whether we agree with the merging in of the fact that some of the terms of the original agreement should stand, or like Joe's suggesting that the 40% calculation should somehow be prorated. I'm not following the logic on some of this. Are we, the existing agreement we have
Mhm.
was crafted based upon the fact that they were only gonna use 40% of the building,
Mhm.
right? So are we now saying that, we're saying that was a gift, right? Because they were using 100% of it. Right, they should have been paying more, right? That's the logic. Is that how everybody feels?
We're using it all.
They were using it all, right? At least for the last 10 years or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the small portion for sheriff, but yeah.
Yeah, Okay, I guess, you know, the number, the 5,700 though. Wasn't based upon any level of anything. It was based upon a starting number inflated at CPI over 40 years. So it's not actually tied to any meaningful dollar thing. It's just an arbitrary number that's been inflated. At CPI.
Correct.
I think that if we're gonna ask for a number that's based upon maintaining X, Y, and Z, that our derivation of it should be based upon that projected out over whatever you think the life of those elements are. I think that's better than 4 times the, I mean, than the square footage number thing. Yeah, sorry,
I hate to suggest this because it's gonna probably be really expensive, but with the water and the wastewater and all of our lift stations, we did an asset management book. Right? That took each individual piece of equipment, gave it an amount of life left, I mean, how long it was gonna last, what it was gonna cost. I don't know if we need to do a deep dive into light bulbs and paint, but
what he's got in his head a vision of what it is we have to maintain.
Right.
I'm simply saying, write that down and
let's figure it out.
let's figure out what it actually would cost to save that amount of money.
Okay.
Is there any reason why we can't require tenant to maintain the regular light bulbs, air filters?
That might be,
I think that is.
I
the
believe
way-
that- I believe
I
that
think
is
that's
written in
already
here.
covered in there. That's
Okay.
proposed that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's proposed that
Well,
way.
we're gonna have other equipment though, too. They're gonna have to have a compressor. They're gonna have to have a, like you were saying, air conditioning, heat, but that's different.
I mean, air conditioner, furnace, that's part of the building. The air compressor that the EFD uses is not, that's theirs or ours. But it still should be a shared cost by the department.
Okay.
I
agree.
I mean, it's no different if you rent a house to somebody. The question is, where do you draw the line, right? It's gonna have a furnace and AC. It may or may not have a washer or dryer. It may just have a hookup. And whether or not you replace the washer and dryer, leaks. I'm suggesting that anything that isn't the building, that's the VFDs, they should be responsible for. And they should be responsible for damage. I mean, now, that doesn't make any sense to me that they wouldn't be responsible for any
I think
damage.
it reads that they're responsible for damage. That part I think was covered already in the draft that Justin has. The part I'm not having trouble following is you've described a replacement cost for certain components. HVAC, but you've got a bullet here that says city will pay 25% of the cost to replace.
yeah,
So if your vision is we're only paying 25% of the cost 15 years from now, is that gonna be in your formula? For how you charge rent?
I would bake it in. Yep. I would incorporate that into the formula.
All right, I'm anxious to see the derivation.
But I mean, for bringing it in this format, I wanted to make sure that council was comfortable with starting down that
Well,
path.
I don't know what we're starting even down. I mean, it's without defining it, Justin, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole bunch here that's, I mean, like, what's the cost of insurance? To say that they previously paid 40% versus 100, are we talking $100 versus, or $400 versus 1,000? I mean, what have we been, or 40 versus 100? And I mean, what the order of magnitude is lost on me in every one of the bullet items.
Okay.
Other than the $1 that's in the agreement. That's the part that I have trouble with this.
Okay.
Anyone else? Sorry if I dragged it out. Okay, moving down to M5, discussion of DDA Brownfield and Housing Tax Increment Financing Plan. Michelle, I'll turn that over to you.
Good evening. How's council this evening? Okay.
We're still good.
I know it's getting late, so I won't take a long time, but I'll go over a few things real quick. The DDA did commission Advanced Redevelopment Solutions to help them prepare this traditional brownfield property TIF and housing TIF, projects, policy, procedures manual, and application, and the establishment of an application and review escrow fees. That's one bucket of things for you to consider, but it is at the end, and I'll go through what this tool does. Because ultimately, brownfield TIF and or a housing TIF is a tool, an economic development tool to help the DDA establish goals, objectives, and strategies that are in the different plans, whether it's a master plan for the city, the DDA's plan, etc. So the Brownfield Redevelopment Finance Act, that's PA 381 of 1996 as amended, allows projects within the city's DDA district to gain access to and to use local and state tax increment revenues generated as a result of excuse me, a redevelopment project with new taxable value. Everybody gets the tax increment finance. You understand that mechanism. If not, let me know. We'll sit down. We'll have a quick meeting about it. This manual that the DDA has adopted and is recommending to the city allows the DDA to be able to evaluate a brownfield plan request for workforce housing or for a traditional brownfield. Actually, it should say and, because you could have a brownfield site that gets redeveloped for housing, and therefore you'd be using both parts of the two. The purpose of the manual is to establish the guidelines for the administration of brownfield eligible projects in the DDA, including the brownfield TIFs and other related economic development opportunities that are available in the statute. Excuse me. The brownfield tool will provide support for qualified public or private development and redevelopment projects that are located within the DDA, which would not occur without the use of the TIF tool. That's what's called the but-for clause. Projects that would not happen, but for the ability to utilize the tool. So there are certain goals, projects that are considered under this manual, as well as the Brownfield Act. Excuse me. I'm sorry, projects that are considered for a recommendation are based on the extent to which they meet the goals that the DDA has. And they're outlined in the memo for you tonight. The manual, the process, all helps the DDA evaluate project union for the use of the tool, for the potential of a brownfield housing. This has two parts. The first part is the DDA working with the applicant and staff through the process of figuring out the feasibility of using the tool. The second part is the actual part that the DDA, that's the council, is most familiar with, and that's the brownfield planning process. I won't go into the details of part one versus two, but think of the manual as it's a roadmap. It's all to get from one place to the other. It's specifically for the use in the district right now. Could it be used throughout the city if someplace were to come up and the project that council wanted to consider? Absolutely. Tonight is just open for discussion. What the staff will do is prepare and present a resolution to establish a non-refundable brownfield program part one project concept application from government and review housing concepts at an upcoming. The council works to beyond that, consider the adoption.
So the DDA has this policy. And in order to implement it, the suggestion is that there be a cost. So that staff can cover their time performing whatever review is needed. City council's role is we set the fees. So essentially, she's proposing 2,500 for the application fee and a review deposit of 5,000 to conduct a review of whatever tool it is they're proposing, given the project. So at some point in time, we have to pick those fees is key, step number one. Right, that's,
perfect.
and how comfortable are you with the 2,500 and the 5,000?
I'm not forward with it. I spoke extensively with Mr. Hauser. We presented it to the DPA, well, presented it first to the subcommittee that worked with us on it, and then presented it to the DPA. So all along that chain, everyone's comfortable.
So the fee thing, we just updated in the consent agenda, will have to come back before us with two new line items that says 2,500 and 5,000. Correct?
Try to dovetail it so it works together.
But I mean, essentially, that's what we're talking about doing, right? That's the role right now until somebody on this dais gets interested in trying to have this be available outside the DDA. Which at this point, I think we should let it stay in the DDA and see how it works. Everybody understand where we're going? There's a lot in here. Other than the fee schedule. It's just pretty basic. Okay, so bring back the fee schedule. Let's get something and try it. Well, we'll only know if it's enough based upon when we try it.
I'll send out an email for everybody who wants to do.
Thank you. Question. Do you have any concerns of these fees being then prohibiting people from approaching them? Thank you.
Because Sanam, what the whole thing is tied to is they want to take the TIF capture. The incremental TIF capture that the DDA would otherwise get and somehow apply it in some way back to their project. Whether it's brownfield or otherwise, affordable, attainable, any other word you want that helps fit the category. Their goal is to try and get the TIF capture applied back, and you're talking about thousands of dollars more relative to 2,500 and 5,000, especially over a period of time that is definable per project. Okay, there were a lot of good discussion items included on this agenda that will hopefully lead to action. So thanks for putting all that together. We're back around in non-arranged participation. Is there anyone that wants to speak under non-arranged? Seeing none, we will go to council comments. And if it's okay, I'd like to let the two student reps say hello and introduce themselves briefly so that we can get to know them a little bit.
Hey, I'm Alana Martinez. I'm a sophomore this year at Dexter High School, and I'm just excited to get to watch and observe and be part of all of this.
Happy to have you.
I'm Eva Patrico. I'm an upcoming senior at Dexter High School. I'm just really excited to be here and kind of be involved in kind of a local political process. So.
Well, if at any point in the meeting you have a thought, a question, comment on any topic, just like any other council member that you've seen raise their hand, just raise your hand. You're more than welcome to participate. So we look forward to the perspectives you're going to bring and getting to know you throughout the next year. Joe?
I have no comment. Thank you.
Simone?
No comment. Thank you.
Pablo? What?
Oh, I was just gonna welcome them. And
Please
then
do.
this does not need to be in the minutes, but Joe, it's nice to see your face again in a meeting.
You're welcome.
Dan?
I have a question, but I don't want it answered. But you can't,
Fair-
right?
fair
Council
enough.
comments, but I had a thought on earlier, we were talking about Alpine Street and doing the full width. I would like to know, is there any benefit of doing the whole thing that's gonna benefit the business owners when we redo Alpine Street? If there'd be any benefit that would help us in the future, not. I don't know how far the Alpine Street project's gonna go. Is it gonna go past the farmer's market when we do asphalt? But anyway, I wonder if there'd be any benefit to doing it now, not later. Thank you.
Okay, I will seek a motion for adjournment at 9:21.
I'll move.
Moved by Wah,
Second.
second by Dan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.